What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this multi-pass patch that takes anything that you put through it and turns it into a trance rhythm. So it's the trance rhythmizer. I'm going to put this on Patreon, so if you're a patron, go grab that. And what this is going to be doing is taking anything. So I just have some bending chords that I'm sending through it, add the multi-pass. And just adds a trance rhythm to them. So the first thing I'm going to show is how to make the patch. Then I'm going to talk about how the macros work and what you should do with your macros. And then third, I'll go into a new project and show me just using this on a different little progression for a second. And so the first thing you're going to want to do to build this is set up a trance gate. You can of course go in and just pick any different like trance style one of these that you have in here already, but I like to kind of build my own so I have something unique from what the factory preset is, and just go in and like set these all. I have to turn this on. I'm gonna solo this out and just set these up to sound good, or kind of good. And also, while you're setting these patterns up, you're going to want to go in and just adjust your attack, decay, sustain, and release to be something that works. It doesn't really matter what it is, just as long as it works with one thing, it should work with a lot of things. Once you've gotten that set up, you're going to go in here and control, copy it over to the next channel, and then you're going to want to set up your split position. So the way I like to do this is just to solo one out, and just pick a place where you feel like you're getting like a decent split between the two sections of the sound. So we have brightness here, darker here. And then the next thing I did was added a little macro right here called split position, and this just quickly helps me like be able to fade energy into my sound. So like if I'm doing a riser or whatever, or a fall, I can start high and go low, or start low and go high, right? So it's like helping me transition parts of my track. The next thing I'm going to do here is add a tranciness macro. First, I would copy this over so you have two identical ones, and before you do that, you're going to want to add trance tail, or just something to change the attack, decay, sustain, release. You can do all four of them, but for this one I just added a little releaser that's going to let me like turn those kind of into stabs that fade into each other if I wanted that in my sound. So now that I have all that on it, I can move it over to here, have my clone copy. So then I'll have two of these that are identical, and I'm going to go in and set up my tranciness knob. So the way that this works is I set it to macro polarity bipolar, right? So that it goes up and down. And then I started this top one in the middle, and I started the the low end one at the bottom. And what that lets me do is, like, as I turn it up, the high end is getting more of a gate on it than the bottom end is. And I like to keep these the same. I shouldn't have did it without it, but so that 100% here is going to be, or rather plus 50% is going to be both of these all the way on, and down 50% would be 0, but like if you go below the 50% line, as you can see, you have like a nice little mix there between like fully rhythmized and 0 rhythm, which is good for like if you have a big full section that you want to like slowly cut energy out of, you can turn this up, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do here is go in and do some filtering. So first I've added a wobbler, or a wubber. So what the wubber does is I've added a filter. It's at 100%, and then I've added a classic like pumping LFO here. And the way I'll set these up usually is I'll take this, so I'll set my filter to where it's just letting like the low end of the sound in, and then add a pump that goes like relatively high, and this can just be at like a static position. This modulation never changes here. So the way that I fade this in is I have it start at 100%, and then I just have a knob here that as this knob turns on, and so as I turn this macro on, it's just turning my filter position down, which with the LFO on means that it's going to start wubbing the little chord or whatever I put into it. right? So really quick, easy way to have a macro that just lets a sound start wubbing. The next thing I added here was just a little wub speed changer. And so I've gone in and routed this to my numerator, gave it a relatively low. Right, a low, you know, it's only -3. So it's just kind of changing this from a maximum value. If you can see, it goes from 8 to 1. So it just kind of gives you the freedom to change the speed of the wub. The next thing I do is the exact, pretty much same thing, except here I have a dotted pluck. And it turns down in the same fashion there. So I don't really have to go over that much because you know it's the same process that I did with the first thing. Pluck speed changer here. And then the next thing that I added, this is unique, is a pluck softener. And all this does here is, let me turn my LFO off so you can kind of clearly see this. All this one does is changes the resonance to be a little less sharp so that it can kind of soften that pluck. So once I turn this back on. So pretty useful to just kind of really quickly change the sound. So I'll turn all this back on, and now we've gotten back to the split position. So that's kind of fully how you make this little preset here. Again, it's on Patreon if you are a member on Patreon. So next I just want to show a couple examples of like stuff that I'm sending through this that I think that it does a good job on. So here's another example where I'm sending a ARP and kind of detuned saw sub. Into that multipass rack, and I'll kind of show what exactly I do to get a better sound out of this. So the first thing that I would do here is I turn the multipass on. I might start with the wubber. Let me try turning that off and changing the split position. I think I like it right. Actually, I might like it at the original position the best. So turn the wubber back on. Make sure my solo's off. And you don't really have to spend too much time in here. The last thing I might do is change the tranciness. And I think I like it right there. It might even be better at the center point. The last thing that I'll say, it's important to add gain compensation. So as you can see down here, I've added just a default to the preset that I forgot to mention before of 6 dB gain increase. And what that's for is you're removing, this patch is subtractive, right? All it does is remove high end, remove amplitude, or remove remove more high end via filtering. So you're removing decibels through all that process. So like by having a 6 dB like compensation gain increase in the output, you're gonna stop it from like anytime you use this patch, you saying, okay, well I've added my multipass. But without the gain increase, you're gonna probably say, you know, it kind of sounds worse, but with the gain increase there, the gain compensation, it sounds better, and it keeps you from saying, I don't like anything that I put through this patch. So that's kind of important. I should have had that earlier, but I didn't remember it. So lastly, let's do one quick example of me using the multipass and then adding post effects. So we have this as the input. So just a little patch. I think I used a preset in Poison for this. Add the God, I can't say trance today. Add the multipass preset to it. And I think I'm gonna do maximum tranciness to this one. And I think one of the good tips that I can give with this is change. So we'll solo out one of these bands. I think I like this one the best. So the things that I would recommend changing in here is the trance gate, but if you do one, do the other one. And then the resolution is also nice to change a lot of the times, but if you do one, do the other one. Kind of experiment with this. I'm going to change the split position a little bit. So get that set, add a little wub. And you don't have to use everything on this, so for this example, I'm not even going to add the plucker to it. So then as far as post effects, I think we'll add a delay, and I tend to like Supermassive for this, so I'm just going to pick a preset out, and the way I like to do my delays, let's go with 8-note. I like to go mix all the way up, kind of use that button to make it save the mix level. Then just get a preset that you like, or you can like design your own if you really want to, but I'm trying to go quick here. And then just turn the mix down until it sounds good. So I'd say that's good. Now let's add a Valhalla room, and I'll kind of do one of these really quickly. Same principle here. We're going to start with the mix all the way up. I think I'll make it way longer. Like that. It's kind of shimmery. Now I'm going to bring the high frequency or the high cut down. Then I'm going to increase the depth, and what this does is just favors whether we're going to be using the early reflections or the late reflections. So kind of use that to make a little drone. And then with really big reverbs, what I tend to find works the best is relatively low mixes, right? So kind of just blend this in until you can feel it, but not hear it too much. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how you can use this patch. It's on Patreon if you want to get it for free, or just build your own. It's not really that hard to build. It's 4 plugins, 3 LFOs. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. Hopefully you learned something and it was useful and you can use this in your own tracks, and I will see you in the next one.